What is up, everybody? It is Rust Belt Perspective here. Today is March 27, 2023, and before I get into today's video, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for your support so far. I have gotten some pretty good numbers for my first few weeks doing this, and sorry I was gone over the weekend. I had a lot other obligations to attend to, so I did not upload, but I do plan to get back at it every day for the foreseeable future. So, with today's video, today we're going to be shifting our focus a little bit. I've recently been talking mostly about some of the big key races between Democrats versus Republicans. Today we're going to kind of be focusing more on one party, and that is going to be the Republican Party of Indiana. As you can see here, I've got an article here of Indiana Senator Mike Braun, who was first elected back in 2018. He has decided he is not going to rerun for a second Senate term in 2024, but instead going to run for the open governor's seat. So Indiana has very much been a Republican-leaning state throughout recent memory. You look at all the past several presidential elections: solid red, likely red, and then here Obama cracked it by 1 point when it was a big blue wave year. Before that, solid red. Throughout recent memory, it has very much been a red state. You guys can see that. The Senate level, it has been somewhat competitive. You go back to 2000, you got a solid red, but in 2004, the Democrats won this state on the same ballot that George Bush, the Republican, won by 20 points. So, big difference here. There was a popular Democratic governor there, or senator there, excuse me. And then this seat was solid red in 2006. In 2010, that solid blue seat I just showed you flipped red by almost 15 points. And in 2012, that solid red state from 2006 flipped blue for Joe Donnelly, the Democratic senator. But since then, you got red. This was supposed to be a competitive race, but Senator Young won by almost 10 points here. And then in 2018, it was supposed to be a very competitive race, but despite his popularity, Senator Donnelly was unseated by almost 6 points to Mike Braun. And now Mike Braun in 2024 is instead going to be running for Indiana's governor's seat. And you see he is one of 3 Republican candidates to declare, and what's already considered a solid Republican governor's mansion here by all the political sources so far. And Mike Braun has declared, and so has their Indiana's Lieutenant Governor, Suzanne Crouch, and they have another one that has declared, but that's not as big of a name. And you look at the poll here. This was a while back, granted, but Mike Braun crushes Lieutenant Governor Crouch here. Mike Braun is very likely to win the governorship here in Indiana. His party will almost certainly win it, and he is by far the front runner, at least according to this poll right here. So yeah, you can kind of see where that's already going with Mike Braun. But what about the Senate race? I just showed you the Senate race has been competitive. Senate races in Indiana have been competitive throughout recent memory. But what could happen this time? Will it stay solid red with how Indiana has been solid red? Will it be competitive with how their Senate races have been competitive in recent memory? It's interesting. There's only one Republican candidate who has declared. It is already considered a solid red state by all the same political sources I just showed you for their governor races. Jim Banks, the U.S. representative from Indiana, has declared. He's been serving since 2017, and he has been endorsed heavily. You got former President Trump endorsing him. You've got Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell endorsing him. You got the second in command John Thune endorsing him. You got third in command John Barrasso endorsing him. He's gotten all the major endorsements. He's looking very much so to be backed by the Republicans, though incumbent Governor Mike Holcomb of Indiana has also publicly expressed interest, which would kind of be funny because essentially the U.S. senator and the governor would be switching seats at that point, essentially. But because Governor Holcomb is term limited in 2024, which is why this race is wide open. Um, but you look at the polls, and initially Banks was not winning the polls, but the people he's lost to, you got Mitch Daniels, the former governor of the state. He has declined to run, so that essentially makes this poll irrelevant. You got another Republican named Todd Rokita. I hope I said that right. He has also declined to run. He is Indiana's Attorney General. But you see, even with these polls that Jim Banks was losing, there's a vast amount that were undecided at the time because these polls were a few months back. Now that all these endorsements have kicked in, that really might pull a lot of those undecideds in favor of Jim Banks. He looks like a front runner. An interesting thing about Banks, something that did make national headlines with him was back when that January 6th committee against Donald Trump was being formed, he was one of the people that the Republicans wanted on there. But at the time, Speaker Nancy Pelosi blocked that. Him and also Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio. These were, well, at least for Banks, he was the one who initially opposed the whole January 6th riots, but then later kind of backtracked and defended Donald Trump for those actions on January 6th, and that is a big reason why Pelosi decided not to allow Representative Banks to be on that committee, so that's the most he is known nationwide. But he does have the endorsement of President Trump, so clearly Trump likes the fact that he has been an election denier with Trump as of late. So Banks definitely a front runner for the Republicans. It's interesting. Can Holcomb make it a decent challenge? And another thing too is former Senator Donnelly that was unseated by Senator Braun back in 2018, the last time this seat was up for election. He is a potential candidate here, and he has talked about potentially running for his old seat. He was popular in Indiana. It was not that he was unpopular, it's just that Indiana rapidly shifted red. A big thing that helped with that was their former governor Pence became vice president of the United States, so of course Indiana became a lot more Republican on the national level with that. But yeah, I just showed you this seat is back and forth, and if Joe Donnelly does run again and the national mood does improve for the Democrats, this could become a competitive race. But overall, it definitely does favor the Republicans, because 2018, this seat was red, but it still was a 6-point race from Donnelly, despite how red the state did vote in 2016 for Trump and Pence. 2012, it was blue with Donnelly. 2006, it was solidly red. 2000, it was also solidly red. So, more than not, it has been red like the rest of the state. But could it become competitive? It's interesting. I mean, you look at their governor level, it has been solid red for quite some time. Governor Holcomb here, he won here by over almost 25 points back in 2020, because this is a race that coincides with the presidential election. 2016, he won it by 6 points. Pence was going to run for a second term, but didn't because he was the vice president nominee, and ultimately did become vice president in 2016. 2012, Mike Pence himself, he only won this state by 3 points, despite the fact that I think Mitt Romney won it by like 10 points on that same ballot. So that one was kind of iffy, but Pence did win, and of course later on he became vice president. 2008, it was a solid red state, despite the fact that, on the governor level, despite the fact that Obama did win the state by 1. 2004, it was red. The last time the governorship went blue in Indiana was 2000. So yeah, I just wanted to take today to kind of shift the focus a little bit, give you something fresh and different, talk more about a primary and a candidate who took an unusual trend of leaving the Senate to instead be a governor. It's something that a lot of senators flirt with the idea, but a lot of people don't actually do it. There are plenty of senators who are former governors, but you really don't see a whole lot of that vice versa. Mike Braun is doing so, and he has a very good chance to win that governorship. And the Republicans still have a good chance at retaining that seat. So yeah, just one a little different I wanted to share today, share my thoughts with. Please comment down. What are your thoughts? And again, as always, please subscribe. Feel free to join my Discord server. I really appreciate that. I have gotten off to a great start, and it's because of all of you viewers. I really appreciate you all. And I'm looking forward to keep going. So, thank you very much, everybody. This is Rust Belt Perspective, signing out.